Yes, indeed, we are back. What is it? Have we had 5 weeks off? I'll tell you what, though, in that period, I've been doing pretty much nothing, but Gav's been beavering away. He's been working hard to make the sound much better. He's also got it now so that you can watch the episodes on YouTube. So we've got cameras and everything. How cool's that? We're using this thing called Zoom. No idea what it is. So that's all changed. One thing that's not improved is the language. Unfortunately, Gav's potty mouth does get the better of him from time to time. You know what he's like? He gets carried away. I don't know why he swears so much. So you might not want your kids to listen to it. But then again, you might. I don't know, really. I'm not going to tell you how to parent your kids. So enjoy.
Hello, hello. Testing. 1, 2. Is this Neil Hodgson? Is it Ogson?
Just do me a favour. If we're going to look at each other, go back from the camera because that's well weird.
Is that a bit big, a bit large?
Yeah.
Slightly sinister. Welcome back to Gas It Out, ladies, gentlefolk, and everyone else who might be listening in between. We're hoping that you can hear us. We're back. Where have you been? Where have you been all my life? Where have you been?
We're going to tell the truth.
You don't ring, you don't call.
Yeah, big fallout, me and Gav.
This is basically what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Our last podcast was Colin Edwards. The last one we actually recorded was Danilo Petrucci. And it tipped us over the edge because we'd done an interview with him. And then obviously it all hell broke loose, didn't it? Jack Miller signed and he basically pretty much announced that he's on his way. And we got hurt, didn't we?
Yeah, it upset me a little bit. No, what really happened was Gav just got sick to death of hearing me. You'd had enough, hadn't you, really?
Or not hearing you.
Yeah, while not hearing me.
Yeah, or while you were labouring. You know,
I'm in the kitchen. It's really echoey. Is it too echoey, do you think?
No, it's not at all. I can actually hear you okay. You might be able to hear yourself, but it's actually better than it was. So we have been away for a while. This is our sort of second season. We thought we'd give ourselves a little bit of a break. We did a lot in a short space of time. We've got lots of things going on, but we're hoping to come back maybe a bit less frequently, a bit more infrequent. So once a week, we're thinking. But we're trying to do some video as well. So we're recording this on Zoom because everyone's using Zoom and we were using antiquated old systems and that kind of thing. And I'm doing it all from my shoddy computer anyway. So we're hoping that we're going to continue to have some great guests, but you might be able to see them a little bit and we're going to see each other. The problem we always had was Neil's got sketchy internet down where he is. But we found that Zoom seems to work okay. On a few meetings we were doing for BT, wasn't it, Neil, that we sort of worked out that actually Zoom seems to hold up all right for you.
Yeah, I think this is the future, but it's working out where I do it from because in this kitchen, it does sound too echoey. But we tried it earlier, didn't we, from the bedroom. Looked weird, me in bed, well weird.
It really silly, especially with the thing you were doing as well.
That's not weird. All lads do it. They do, honestly. Right.
Not in front of the mates, though.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but growing up.
No.
A little bit growing up.
No, not at all.
What's annoying is, it's not like I've got a really small house. It's not that big, by the way. But Vic's working from home.
And you're not disturbing her. You're not sat in her wake, are you?
It's like all of a sudden she owns everything and it's like she's got the main space. So, I'm not really happy about it. So we're gonna have to have a serious chat about it.
Have you not got like me, a man cave? This is my loft office, basically place I put all old race programs and all my race trophies as well. I.e. none.
We can see them all behind you. Exactly. Look at them. It's an impressive collection, that Gav.
But I've seen in the interim, there've been photos of your old helmets. Have you got them stored somewhere?
No, that's in my dad's loft.
Oh, in your dad's loft, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I've been going up to see my dad, and he got this like little helmet racking, and then I put them all in order. But I've got all my leathers there and they're all stacked on the floor. It's such a shame.
They're not all sweaty and stinky, are they?
No.
That'd be such a shame.
No, they're dirty though. They've gone foisty, because they've been up in the loft, in a cold loft in Burnley. And they smell. They do, yeah. So
I like how you make out like a loft in Burnley is worse than anywhere else. I know it's fairly exposed in Burnley, but come on.
Well, do you know what? I was up there yesterday and I left from the Midlands first thing in the morning, clear blue skies, beautiful day. And literally, as you're just arriving in Lancashire, the clouds appeared, and then you get over to Pendle, where Burnley is, and it honestly, I had shorts and a t-shirt on. My dad looked at me like I was a weirdo, standard. And my dad's there sporting his John McGuinness t-shirt because he got a freebie off John. Well happy.
I'm going to have to give John a call. I want one of them.
Yeah. So, no, it is cold. Burnley's cold. Pendle Hill kills it. If you're from that area, there's a big hill called Pendle Hill. And it just, the side that Burnley's on of this hill gets really bad weather. The other side's Ribble Valley, which is beautiful, and it gets good weather. So, anyway. Not that people are interested in that.
Well, they are. Anyway. They will be, especially if they're from that neck of the woods, won't they? Everyone likes to hear something about where they come from. I've got. Go on.
I love where I'm from, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm
not
you do.
Very proud of it.
Just saying the weather's crap.
Yeah, it is. And obviously, over here in Leeds, all the crap gets stopped by Lancashire and the Pennines, and over here it's like a paradise, isn't it? Pretty much anything grows. They grow pineapples and coconuts on the trees around here.
You absolute knob.
The Costa del Yorkshire. Absolutely.
Costa del crap. I've been to Leeds. No, Leeds is nice. Actually, I do like Leeds. It's a good city.
It is actually, and it's beautiful. We are on the hottest day of the year, and Neil, I do have a couple of bones to pick with you because while we haven't been doing Gas It Out, I know you've been moonlighting. You're doing one with MotoGP official, with the one we did with Taz Mackenzie as well. Doing stuff with the Mackenzies, doing stuff with the insurance company. Write, text. You don't call. Yeah, this is
actually the truth's coming out now. This is why we've had a big break because Gav's been sulking because, I've done a bit of moonlighting. Sorry, mate. Listen, you are my first love, but occasionally I do like a little bit of slap and tickle elsewhere. So, sorry, mate.
Not bear thinking about. But people were worried we weren't going to make it back with Gas It Out. But we had a couple of things to iron out. One of those was the audio. We're hoping things are going to be a little bit better. But now also, with the season starting to get going, we were worried at one point, and a lot of our talk in the first lot of Gas It Out was, we don't know if there's going to be a season. It looks like it's going full steam ahead. 3 weeks from now, pretty much, we'll be actually covering it. We won't be able to go on site because of all the restrictions with quarantine, these kinds of things. But we're going to be covering it full when we get back to BT Sport. But riders have started to become more elusive, haven't they? They're all back training. They're all back in the groove again, getting themselves going once more. So it's been hard, hasn't it, trying to actually pin people down?
Yeah, it's going to be. I think this is going to be a difficult period. I think once the season starts, it'll be easier. But I think now all the riders have become paranoid. It's like, right, damn, like it's literally the season just around the corner. A lot to sort out, a lot to organise. Obviously, fitness training.
Yeah,
stuff like this then
what about that?
Goes on the back burner.
With a month to go, but with a month to go, I know you obviously manage Alex. You've been to visit Sam Lowes and Jake Dixon. You did some socially distanced interviews in their houses. I know Sam's gone off to Italy. So what have you heard from people you spoke to? How do you suddenly prepare when someone's, they were all keeping time, weren't they? A little bit like, when are we going to get going? And then suddenly, boom. 5 weeks you've got, and the season's going to start. How do you go about that?
Well, using, let's say, them three as an example, Sam and Alex Lowes and Jake Dixon, and the Mackenzies, because I see a lot of them, they've all just been keeping right on top of it. So there's now, when I say there's a shock, all of a sudden you've got to get everything sorted out. Fitness-wise, they're all really sorted. And I'm sure 99% of the people were. There won't be many of professional racers been out on the piss for the last.
No, of course not.
Oh, wow. We've got 3 months off. Let's have a beer. Everybody I know. Riders are obsessed, aren't they? So they're working on themselves to better themselves, and whatever that is, training, trying to lose a bit of body fat, gain muscle, whatever. So, but then there's a lot to sort out with making sure you've got all your helmets, leathers prepared, and working out when testing is going to be, how it's all going to work. Sam and Alex flew out to Italy about 5 days ago, and Alex is on track today. He's at Misano. I've not had, today's his first day on track, so I've not heard anything.
Is that with the MotoGP bikes? Because Ducati had a private test there, didn't they? Because I saw Pirro had been out. Do you see the bike? I saw a couple of photos for it, like all the bits on the front forks, like these shrouds and a big scoop at the back. That was quite interesting.
Yeah,
they've been working.
I love it because it's what we knew everybody'd be working, but especially Ducati. It just looked like I mean, a Ducati looks like it's definitely been injecting steroids, but it looks even more so now, doesn't it? It's just everything is bigger and more exaggerated.
And they are stuck in terms of frozen now on the engines. They've sealed. KTM and Aprilia have been allowed a bit of an extension on that, so it can be sealed once the season actually does get going. So they've got a little bit of leeway. Bradley Smith, I know, was out testing the Aprilia. Looks to me like he'll be racing for Aprilia when we do get going, so that'd be interesting to see. But there's lots of interviews with these people. If you are just joining us for the first time on Gas It Out, go to gasitout.podbean.com, try to remember it, or go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those kind of things. A massive back catalogue, interviews with the likes of Jake Dixon, Sam Lowes, Cal Crutchlow, Danilo Petrucci, Brad Binder, all these people from MotoGP, Alex Lowe's from World Superbike, Johnny Ray, of course, the champion. Got people from TT, like John McGuinness, Guy Martin, Susie Perry, our colleague, got involved on it too. There's loads of good stuff in there. I'll tell you what, Neil, the most popular ones, I will say, of those. So if you want to go and search one out you haven't heard, Scott Redding came out pretty much as the most popular. And JT, James Toseland, his interview really went down, because proper heartfelt, wasn't it? And get well soon, JT, because he's just had another operation on his hand.
Yeah, James's was. I think James was probably a bit more of a surprise for me and you, because we've both known James for a long time. Obviously, I was teammates with him, but do you know what? He really opened up, didn't he? And we both learned a lot about him, and it was just interesting his journey, and it has been a journey to where he is now. And actually, it was, if you saw on social media, he was talking about his wrist. He had his 4th operation yesterday. I've not heard how it went. Well, he was speaking afterwards, but you never know. You know what I mean? After
away,
surgery, you're being optimistic, but you don't really know, where it's at. So like you say, fingers crossed. But Scott Redding one was. I came away being a Scott Redding fan, and that's me being. I'm like, I'm pretty straight with stuff. It weren't that I wasn't a fan. It just I was. I respect him as a rider, but it weren't somebody that. I thought, I really hope Scott Redding goes well. Yeah. I would like that with Scott. That's basically the best way of explaining it. And then we did that podcast with him, and I thought, I'll tell you what, that kid's going to go. He's going to bounce back.
He's on the way up. Like, there's someone, you often talk about stock value, don't you? And there's someone who definitely was on the rise, Moto2, into MotoGP, and then it sort of tailed off a little bit, fair to say. I'm sure Scott would say the same, taking a massive step back to go to BSB. But someone who's been able, which is rare, isn't it, to bring themselves back up. So it'd be interesting to see. I noticed he's over in Italy as well. I'm assuming he's probably testing at Misano.
Did you see the picture he posted of his girlfriend?
No.
Yes, you did.
I got sent it by Matthew Roberts. Sent me that one.
What?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Matt Roberts because of our guest. Because of our guest today. And he's someone who works
Matt Roberts.
Very closely with Matt Roberts. And that's, of course, his colleague from Eurosport, someone who often people will probably think we're in a bit of a rivalry with in terms of TV, but we're not, because we're both avid fans of watching British Superbike Championship, World Superbikes when it's on, and his commentary that he does there with Jack Bernacle or Greg Haynes or all the people throughout the years. And it is, of course, former British Superbike champion himself. It was in World Supersport, won races in World Superbike, won a race in World Superbike as well. James Whitt and Jamie Whitham, Jim Whitt, top man. I can't wait to speak to him. I would say he's from my neck of the woods, but he's proper hardcore Yorkshire in Huddersfield down there. But top man, I actually can't wait to speak to him, because he's got stories for days.
You could have 10 podcasts with Jamie just talking about his career, his experiences, his stories. Everyone loves Whitham. I was thinking about it earlier, before we this morning when we did our little sound check. I was like, no one dislikes James. If you think about it, in our industry, the big motorcycling industry, he's a proper legend. That word gets used a lot, but Whit's a legend. You look at what he's done in his career, what he's achieved, all the categories he's raced in.
Yeah, because he has done such a variety, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's easy to forget, though. It's easy to forget that he was good on the roads, when he first started. It's easy to forget that he raced 80cc. It's easy to forget that he was fast at Daytona. Obviously, it's easy to forget he raced 500 GPs in 92. You know what I mean? Like, had a few races. He's done a bit of everything. And and gone through the biggest battle with cancer, which he never talks about.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people look
twice.
Twice.
Come back.
Yeah, he got it in '95, and then had it about 2 or 3 years ago, and the second time round was so bad, and he's been through hell and back, and still lives with it on a daily basis. I don't know if he'll want to talk about it. He's not. It's not that he's private about it. He just doesn't. It's almost like he don't want to make a fuss about it.
No, that's exactly it.
It's wit, isn't it? It's like, well,
proper
yeah,
Yorkshire. It's a Yorkshire attitude, isn't it? In a way. I'm just saying that in terms of it's a bit like, well, it's what we've got, isn't it? What are you going to do about it? Crack on.
Crack on. He's. I wrote it down. He's 53 years old, which I can't. James to me is like 30 in my head, and when you spend time with him, and I've been so fortunate over the years to spend time socially with him. I've been away skiing with him. I've been out on the piss with him. We've been motocrossing, trials riding. Obviously, we've competed together. I've seen it all. And what he's fit into those 53 years, he's lived 2 or 3 lives. He's full gas. You know, financially, he's not in a bad place at all. It's not like he's skint, but he doesn't stop. He loves it.
That's what I was going to say. I think that there, he loves it. And there is someone who loves the motorcycle world. And it's not just in terms of racing, road racing and all those sorts of things. He loves his trials. He's fettling bikes left, right and centre. And actually, I've just seen now that he has entered the waiting room for this meeting. Shall I let him in? Shall I let him in?
Get him in. Yeah, because we're running out of good things to say about it.
His ears must have been burning then, as well, as we're talking about him. Let's see if we can hear from him. As always on Zoom, the first thing is everyone goes, "You're muted. You're muted." That's always the first thing that happens in every Zoom meeting.
Hey up, bloody hell.
Hey up, he's a proper pro. Even got the microphone. Look at
but
this.
the earphones are someone nicked off a BA last time I flew.
Classy.
Things never change.
It's a classy setup that you've got.
Hang on a minute. Did he say Nick from BA? You've never flown BA weight.
Oh,
Come on. Stop showing up now.
Bugger. Yeah.
Ryanair.
Not from Huddersfield. I didn't know Huddersfield International had a bit of regular BA flight.
Well, yeah, God, yeah, we've been busy up here, yeah.
Leeds Bradford was closed, but don't worry, they were non-stop from Hood.
See, James,
Yorkshire's favourite airport.
James, already I can see battle scars on your arms. What have you been up to?
Oh, that.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of tree cuddling yesterday. I bought myself a new, like everybody else in lockdown, not earning any money, but still getting that bored and going out and spending all my savings. Bought myself a new Sherco trials bike and did a bit of tree cuddling yesterday. Ended up in a fucking tree, actually. I don't know how I managed it.
Oh my
God. Rescue.
Up it up.
I love it.
Stuck in
it. Absolutely.
I went off a little bit of maybe an 8-foot rock step because I just got it wrong. And it seemed easier for me to sort of cling on the tree instead of falling off the step and let the bike flipping go down the drop. So
brilliant. Have you've been doing stuff with Lee Johnston, haven't you? What were you riding with him?
Oh, I tell you what, I have. I love that kid. Honestly, the Lee thing? What's happened is he's lived in Yorkshire for quite a bit now. Because his wife's from Yorkshire area, so but it was Halifax way. But now he's moved to literally 3 miles from my house. So I've seen a bit of him. We cycle a bit together, trials bike to do it together. But we've getting the opportunity of lockdown. We've got a lot of sheds up here, hangars, big sheds, and they're all rough because my dad built them. They were all built out of second-hand stuff in first place, and one of them's needed a re-skinning, recladding for about 10 years, and we've been putting it off, and the sheets are flapping every time there's a wind, it blows a few off. So we've bitten the bullet and bought all the materials, and I had Lee helping me. The kid is he's an hard-working monkey, is what he is. He don't care. I mean, I suppose when you consider that he makes his living trying to avoid gable ends at 180 mile an hour, walking up on a 50-foot roof doesn't seem that risky. But he's been a real good help. He's Good lad is Lee. I like Lee.
Oh, that's good to hear. How have you dealt with it the last 3 or 4 months, Jamie?
Yeah, it's been all right.
How's it been for you?
I got the letter like all the other sort of ex-cancer sufferers, organ flipping change people, diabetics. So they told me just not to come out, wipe me shopping, don't even see your kids and all that, which I did I did the full 12 weeks of that, been really careful. I mean, I could go out because we've got a lot of land here, so I could potter about in my own little space, but I've kind of relaxed it a little bit now. Round here, we've not done, and I don't want to speak too soon, but we've not done too bad really. So I think I'm being careful still, but I'm not being silly careful.
Yeah, and it's quite rural in a way, but there's a lot of open air and space, isn't there, around where you
exactly,
are.
Yeah.
What have you been fettling? Because no doubt you'll have had something on the go.
Yeah, I've done. So I've got a Matisse Triumph finished off, but an old British bike you never finish with because that's shit. There's always an oil leak or something to fix up on it. I've got a TZ 750 nicely finished. That's all up and running and working now. And I've been building I'm getting into pre-65 trialing a little bit because the modern trials I love doing, but I can't do the expert course anymore because I'm just not good enough. I just aren't good enough. These kids now, these lads who's come through the cyclo trials sort of system, they're just unbelievable, brilliant to watch. I mean, they're all hopping backwards and jumping from one rock to another. I just can't do any of that. So I do a little bit of club trialing on my modern bike, but the pre-65 class is a lot more old school. It's all about muddy stream beds and muddy hillsides. So I've built myself a little BSA Bantam pre-60. Well, there's nothing Bantam on it. They're more titanium than on most factory flipping race bikes, to be honest. So,
and who do you go riding with then with that, with the trial?
Pre-65, I'll go off with Mick Grant and Hero Vestarinen. You too young, the pair of you, to remember Hero Vestarinen. Vestarinen
sounds
was
fast.
980 world Finnish guy, and you'll know him or you'll know his company because he set up, after he finished trials riding, he set up a company called Apico.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah.
And made a load of money. He lives in England now. In fact, Lancashire, it's fucking naturalised Lancashireman, isn't it?
Well,
fucking idiot.
Yeah, he made a load of money and thought, where in the UK can I base myself in the most beautiful part? I'll go to Lancashire. Of course he did.
Yeah,
I'm outnumbered here, aren't I?
Yeah, or it might have been, hang on a minute, where am I unlikely to get any sales at all? Yeah, Lancashire, there. I'll go and sell there.
Well, where's
cool.
cheap? Because it's full of wrong uns.
Shut up. Hey, wasn't it though? A Pico gear was cool.
Yeah,
back in the 80s.
Yeah, with all that fluorescent. You'll have worn a bit of that when you.
I loved
it. I loved it. I loved the Pico.
Hey, without a doubt. Hey, what do you think now? Then we don't. Obviously, you get to talk a lot on Eurosport, whether it be British Superbike, World Superbike. Obviously, we focus more on the MotoGP side. What do you think about it all getting back going though? Now with all the rules that have happened, but what they've done to actually get things going again.
Yeah, I think they're doing the best under the circumstances that we're having to put up with, and I think I've been keeping up to speed more with BSB, to be honest, than World Superbike. Although both championships look like they've got a plan in place, you can see that there's World Superbike in a lot of ways has more problems because it's like MotoGP. Not only have they got to look after the people who may want to come and watch, so distancing in the bleachers, as it were, but also there's, I guess, 1,000 people in the paddock from 25 or 30 different countries, which is, a problem in itself. So respect for them for coming up with a plan that'll even get anywhere near that. BSB, the problem is they've got less of a problem in the travelling. They're all from the UK in the paddock, but they've got more of quite a few more problems. The biggest one being they can't really afford to run that championship behind closed doors for long.
That's what I was going to say.
Because they don't have the TV and other revenues that they need the people that pay their hard-earned and sit down and watch. That's where their income comes from.
I had noticed, though, they've signed up again with Eurosport, haven't they? Is it for 7 years, was it? Or was it 5 years?
Yeah.
That's amazing, that is.
7. It's 7 years. I mean, it was a little bit of a surprise to me. Yeah, 7 years. Obviously, I'm really happy with that. They're really happy with it. As far as the other problem BSB has got is that there's only about, and you know this anyway, there's only about perhaps a tenth of the people in the paddock, and that includes riders, mechanics, technicians, all the rest of it, are actually professional at that. That the rest of them, the 90%, are actually running a fish and chip shop, or they've got a garage or a tyre fitting service, or a little company making whatever, cakes, and they go racing on a typically Thursday night. They set up on a Thursday night and they race Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they go home and they're back at work on Monday morning. So a lot of those people, the sort of what you call I'd call them the kind of bread and butter BSB teams, are going to really struggle.
Yeah.
They've had financially hard times, which is racing is a pastime and a passion, but it's still not as important as a lot of people's businesses and putting food on the table for the kids. And the other thing is that they're going to want to be putting more effort into getting the business back on an even keel than setting off on a Thursday night. They're not going to want a Monday and a Friday off work. They want to get back to. So BSB's had issues, but I think they've got a plan that'll cope for most, let's say.
And then there's things like sponsors might not have any money, and
that's the thing.
You haven't got any money coming in from other sides. It's such a tough time for all the sport, really, isn't it? And everything that we're involved in. I mean, it's horrible. And it's for anything, I suppose, leisure industry wise. If you see that pubs and that might open, but still certain places like gyms and things can't even open. All those kind of things. So it's.
Actually, the MotoGP class might be the one that's affected the less, if you think about it, because I know it's obviously funded by the manufacturers essentially.
Yeah.
But you've got what you have is you've got tens of TV stations from around the world who are all wanting to put money into it to broadcast it, and they're the ones. The fans are still going to be able to see it in effect.
Yeah.
I did just do that. I apologise, but you know what I mean.
Commercially, the bigger operation you've got, F1, MotoGP, in a lot of ways, the easier it is to come up and afford to do and put in place the procedures that you need to do. If you're relying on 20,000 people turning up at Cadwell, and you can't have 20,000 people at Cadwell, you're doomed, aren't you? So that's a little bit of a problem. So I think MotoGP, and in a little bit of a way, World Superbike has a little bit more scope to go.
When we talk about all these different championships, you obviously raced in all of them. And we were talking actually before, myself and Neil, because you had such a varied career, such a long career as well. Everything you raced, from different bikes, different championships, that kind of thing. And I wondered, obviously you won British Championships, you won World Superbike race, you were in World Supersport. I just wonder when you look back on that vast old career in all these different places and different paddocks around the world, what's the thing that sticks with you? Where is it you go, that's home for me?
I think it changes, throughout your career, and I think Neil would understand this, that you tend to feel happiest and more at home when you're having a good time with it on track. That's the bottom line. If you're winning races, you can fit into any paddock. If you're the man, you're enjoying setting off and you're enjoying being part of something that you're reasonably good at. If you're having a torrid time and you can't fix what's wrong, or you're on the wrong bike for that season or whatever, you know how fickle the job can be. Well, you're not having a good time, and it's in a lot of ways it's the worst job in the world. But I guess if I'm looking back at the best times, it would have been the times that I had. I mean, I enjoyed it all. To be quite honest, I enjoyed it all. Looking back on it in the round, I look back and I think, I'm sure if you had Foggy on here, he'd be saying, well, I never did as good as, I won 15,000 World Championships, but I didn't really do as well as I thought I might. I actually look back and say the opposite. When I started club racing, never ever thought I'd go as far as I did. And I look back at my career and I can just sum it up by saying, bloody hell, that was all right.
Too right as well. And that comes across, though. That does come across in everything that you do. It comes across that you had a great time. Well, we've heard a lot of your stories that you and Rob Mack came up with, all the memories you were going through during lockdown. Yeah. I loved a lot. The Scarborough one in particular, pushing the chap off the little guy's region off the bike and it turned into a Scotland. Yeah. I particularly enjoyed that one. But that you had a good time then, but that you just love it now still. And that you talk about there, your trials riding, you working on bikes. You love the motorcycle world, don't you?
Yeah, and I love the motorcycle world, particularly racing. the thing racing's got, I love my trials in, love my motocross, but the thing road racing's got, and when I say road racing, I mean circuit racing and pure roads. It's almost because there's more of an element of you're going faster, the pitfalls are probably a bit deeper, therefore, and because of that, there's a real big brotherhood kind of thing about it, even now. And even despite the egos that come into play when you get higher up the racing ladder, it's still not a job that anybody can do. You wouldn't, unless you've got talent and you're brave and you're prepared to sort of push the limits a little bit. All the things we like to watch now, you're not going to do any good at it, and that's a fact. And it doesn't. What really has amazed me over the years, and still does, you can get the smallest, nicest, most polite little fellow wouldn't say boo to a goose can become this kind of horned devil as soon as you put a set of handlebars and 200 horsepower under his right hand. It's just the weirdest thing, and quite the converse. You get a big. I know lads who started racing with me, bigger, stronger, harder than me, have a go at anything, and they were rubbish because it's something different, and it's in there somehow.
Between the years,
and I still
well, like a John Reynolds type personality,
exactly,
who wouldn't say boo to a goose. He sort of dressed like a middle-aged man when he was probably in his mid-20s.
He was a middle-aged young kid. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you think he wouldn't say boo to a goose, and he would have you off the edge of the track, no problem at all. And he knew exactly what he was doing.
And he'd do it in such a way that you needed the skill to do it. He wasn't just a lunatic who ran into you. Mate, he'd stitch you, but he'd do it in a way that you went, well, fair enough.
Yeah, I was taking the piss. I should have never even tried to go around the outside of him. I won't do that again.
Yeah, that's what I still love about it, to be honest.
It is funny. Do you love it like more, as much, the same now as you did when you raced, for example? Why I'm asking that question is, being totally honest, for me, I love it about the same as when I raced. Because when I raced, the highs were higher, but the lows were lower. So then overall, throughout my career, you'd say it was on this path. Now, as what I do involved in the industry, with everything I do, I'm about on the same path. I love it the same.
Yeah, I'd say about that. I miss certain things. I don't miss some things, and I miss other things. I don't miss the fact that you've got to put up with the knocks, the broken collarbones, the bits of skin missing here and there, but I do miss the fact that it was probably the one thing in my life I've realised now that it's the one thing that I had a little bit of talent for, because I hadn't really got a lot of talent for much of the things. I'm an pretty much average man, me at everything. But racing was the one thing I kind of stumbled on. I was kind of all right at that, and I miss the fact that I'm not anymore. The one thing that I was all right at and seemed to come pretty naturally, and I enjoyed it. I can't do anymore, really, at that level. I can do a bit of flipping club racing, a bit of classic racing. I can go to Goodwood and whiz round on them, Manx Nortons, but that ain't the kind of same, it's not, that ain't the same as being the man occasionally.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean.
Yeah, the only bits I miss is, but it's such a small percentage of what it involves in racing, is that you're the man. Standing on top of a rostrum with a big bottle of champagne.
You're not going to get that anywhere else.
No, you can't replicate that. Whatever releases in your body, that when you know. So
exactly. And, now you look at you look at these kids coming up and winning races and going well and fighting, and they're all a bit more media savvy than we were. And in a lot of ways, it's more difficult for them to enjoy the moment of it because there's a lot more pressure on them, sponsors, etc. But in actual fact, I still look at them and I think, you lucky bastards. I just hope that a lot of them realise it while it's happening, because there's a tendency nowadays for them to miss it after. Not they don't realise while it's all gone. I remember Jake Dixon, obviously I was really good friends with his dad, and he had a hard time. He led the British Supersport Championship at about 18, I think. He was a young kid. And then he sort of faltered the last couple of 3 rounds, had a crash, hurt himself, tried to ride in, typical story. And he was so upset with it all. He was actually crying. Kid was crying. And he was only a kid. And I went up to him and I said, do you know what, Jake? you're brilliant at what you do. You're probably going places in this sport, I think. But don't forget, number one, the good bits are only going to be better because what you're going through now, right? They're going to, you need to taste a bit of this to know how hard it is and to taste the good stuff. And do you know what? Even at its worst, it's better than putting a flipping dollop or something on a thing as it comes past on a conveyor belt in a factory. You know what I mean? You don't get a lot better. And I just hope a lot of kids realise it while it's still going on.
I think I think what happens a lot of times, and I've seen it not just in this sport, but in other sports, is that a lot of things come to people a lot younger, and I'm not going to say a lot easier because people still need to work hard to where they get. But I think things do come to you at a different level when you're younger now, and it's almost you take that for granted, whether you're coming through a rookie championship or you're coming through something where a bike's been provided, like a talent cup, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and you almost
agreed
not having to graft in the same way to get somewhere. And it's I think actually the riders who recognise that are the ones that are able to achieve that bit more. Or there's a click like we've seen with Scott Redding recently. We were talking about it with him, where it seems like suddenly there's oh shit, this isn't going to last forever, Yeah, I'm living my best life now.
Yeah, that's it. I 100% agree, and I think it was easier in the old days to enjoy that because you didn't start typically till you could afford to start. I was lucky I started at 16 because I had a dad who had a few quid. Simple, and I don't deny that. I'd have probably gone racing, but would have probably been in my early 20s and paid for, if I'd have had to pay for it myself. But now kids are away and doing well at early teens, and that's, I mean, what do you know at that point? That's I always tell them, it don't get no better than this for most people. And I
know you're quite self-deprecating anyway in one way, but you also say you're pretty average. You're a bloody good broadcaster as well, and lots of people, we all love watching you on things you do, whether it be on Eurosport, whether it be on the ITV stuff with all the TT, that sort of thing. How much did you ever think this was going to be the way of the second part of your career, almost being a broadcaster, being a public speaker, being someone who does that sort of thing?
Never,
because it looks natural for you. It looks like it's something you enjoy doing as well.
Yeah, I think the key is. I love the sport, so it's not that big of a deal. If you said to me, right, you look at proper broadcasters, and I definitely include you in this, Gav, and 50-50 you, Neil. I'm not convinced yet. I think you've got the medal, but I don't know. I definitely haven't.
Not true.
Somebody like Matt Roberts.
Oh, we don't mention his name on this podcast because Hodgy gets jealous.
But you could go, if you said to him, you, Gav, right, we've got you the best job in the world, you're taking over from Gary Lineker, you would do your own work and you would present that programme and you'd do a mega job of it. I couldn't. If it ain't got two wheels and an engine, I will be doomed completely, I'll tell you that. And that's the difference. I'm only natural with it because I actually love it, and it's not that big effort. I know it sounds awful to try and work at everything I do and make it the best I can, but actually,
it's not that effort because it comes naturally to you, though. That's what
exactly.
James, I'm exactly the same. And over the last few years, two of my friends have gone, you should try and do other things with the TV side of stuff. And I'm like, why? And they go, well, just think you could probably earn loads more money if you did a bit of football. And I'm like, one, it's so much harder than you think.
Yeah.
So I'm just relying on all what we know, all our knowledge, but actually presenting like you said. But Gav could do it because Gav's an incredible presenter. Matt Roberts could, Susie Perry could, Craig Doyle could, because that's what they do. They're professional presenters. We're like professional pundits, but also we can do a little bit of presentation stuff. But it's like you know what I mean. It's a bit piece to camera or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I think the one thing about TV for ex-sports people, ex-athletes, is that there is a buzz of being live, isn't there? There is in some sort of way. If I mustn't mess up here because there are a lot of people watching me, and there's a bit of performance in there as well, isn't there? I'm not saying it's winning a race.
I can't believe you've never sworn on TV.
No,
I can't believe.
Have you?
I know the viewers aren't going to believe this, but I swear a lot generally. But I mean, I came into this job fully aware that I wouldn't have a job for long if I get effing and blinding on TV. So, you act accordingly. I have said some things that and you're the same. You've got to strike a balance between being natural, spontaneous, reacting to what somebody says with a bit of a joke or whatever, if it needs to be serious. And you've got to think on your feet a lot. And what you don't want to be doing is, in the middle of a commentary or an interview, thinking exactly what you're going to say next. You ain't got time, and it'll just be such a little boxed off, hideous little stop-start job if you did that. So you're thinking on your feet, and you're almost saying what comes into your head before you've thought if it's acceptable or not. And over the years, I've said some things that in my head as they're coming out, that's acceptable but edgy, and actually in real life, that's not acceptable.
Go on,
I've had a couple of warnings.
Have you got an example?
Hang on. Yep. That might be somebody with an example.
Professional. Here he is. It's Mark Hodgson. Mark Hodgson shining the party.
Hey, we don't want my dad on now. How long have we got?
As Casey Stoner called him in his book, Flask and Sandwiches. Obviously.
Yeah. But I tell you what, he knows his motorbikes and he's got some lovely bits of kit. I've actually tried to buy a couple of bikes off your dad, but he's a typical flipping Lancashire, flipping every penny's a prisoner, he is.
and he was Flask and Sandwiches because he didn't stop talking. He's always had a long story to tell you.
Yeah, you couldn't just pop round to my dad's, basically.
You had to take your Flask and Sandwiches. Yeah. So, I've said all sorts of stuff. I said that there was some marshals madly sweeping, like 15 of them, sweeping a big oil spillage up and putting dust down on it. They're all in orange overalls as they are. And Jack Bernicle said, look at them, just like so many council workers. I goes, not like council workers at bloody Kirklees. I says, with 3 of them in van eating sandwiches, 4 had gone home and asked the mates to clock off for them. One of them leaned on shovel, and I got a right knacking for that.
I bet you did.
Honestly. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I can't see the fault in that. That's like, you're just being honest.
I've been exactly honest. Yes.
Wait a second, Neil. He's just said he got correspondence of it, and now you're going. No, it's true though, isn't it? You're just setting yourself up for correspondence. Correspondence being a brown message in an envelope.
This is our podcast. We can do what we want. That's what's the beauty of doing a little podcast. You know, like where you are slightly restricted when you're on TV.
Yeah.
So you can be, let's say, 100% honest on the podcast, where sometimes on TV you think, I want to say this, but I better not do it.
You get away with it more on Eurosport because they're under French. It's run from France, isn't it? So you can get away with bits. Well, you have to if you're if you're with Jack Bernicle. Some of the things sometimes that Jack comes out when he's close to the bone.
Jack said some stuff. I tell you what, I'm going to tell this story again. It's just to me, I nearly fell off my seat at this. We're at Croft, and there's a guy called Victor Cox. COX got running right up front of us, stopped our race, and it's very bumpy at Croft, and his bike wasn't the best setup 1000 Kawasaki in the world, and it's just all over the place. It's tank slapping, it's jumping around, and he's still going well. He's still top 5 and in the real dice. And Jack's getting really excited about this because it's quite an exciting race, as that stock tower always is. And about 3/4 of the way through the race, Jack just says, "Oh, this is live on air." And he just said, "Oh, do you know what, James? I love to see Cox bouncing around." And I thought, oh, dear. And he didn't know what I was laughing at. So I pressed my laser so that, I mean, you know what one is. You press your button and it only goes to your co-commentator and not out to air. And I said, "So you love to see Cox bouncing around here?" He went, oh. And his flipping eyes, it finished him for the rest of the race. He was, but I loved that.
That's absolutely superb, isn't it? That's like when Keith Ewan came out saying Bradley Smith was going around with the yellow-banded hard-on, which, it went on Radio 1, that.
The tyre thing's an absolute minefield. Jack came out with, it was actually referencing Colin Edwards in World Superbike, and he said he'd gone for the big thing was there was one tyre that was definitely going to go the race, the harder one, and one that wasn't, but gave the grip. Usual story. And Jack came out with, well, he's gone. He had a hard on this morning, and I bet he wishes he had a hard on now. You can't say that.
Oh, there are so many. So many things that you can innuendos that come out of it all. So you've just been talking there about you talk about Colin Edwards. It made me think about some of the races that you've been commentating or been involved in. What if you had a favourite race to go back to throughout, and it could be one you've been in, could be one you've seen. What's one that sticks in your head when someone goes, "What's your favourite race?"
Classic for me was actually my first ever sort of co-commentating job. I'd raced in the Eurosport commentary crew was Neil Mackenzie and Jack Bernicle. They went to every single round on site. So I knew Neil anyway, got to know Jack really well that year. And they typically, after I'd finished the Supersport race, there was obviously one more Superbike leg to go. So they get me in for a sort of third mic. Because it was just a different view, it's nice to have. But other than that, I was a good mate of Neil's and we always got a bit of banter going. So it was the Imola. I'd finished fourth, but then got excluded for the bike not starting on the battery. So I was a bit pissed off with that anyway. But I went into the commentary booth and we witnessed firsthand from it's a lovely commentary booth at Imola as well. You sat in the back of the grandstand, you've got the heads of the punters, so you get all that kind of atmosphere going on. You're almost in the bleachers with them. And we witnessed and got to talk about as it happened, the Edwards Bayliss Championship decider in 2002, with Bayliss not being able to just win the race, which he probably could have done, I think. But he had to hold Edwards up until Zaus could catch up. So Zaus could be in between Bayliss and Edwards to give him the points necessary. It was like almost like a 200-mile-an-hour chess game. It was unbelievable. And it's at that point I thought, special man is Bayliss. They all were. They're all cracking. Hang on a minute. They're all cracking riders, but Bayliss just did everything he could. It was and failed. It was a glorious going down in a sort of blaze of bullets kind of failure. But what a flipping race! And you actually didn't need to speak. That's the sort of the irony of it. You could have just played it and gone out a cup of tea because you didn't need us. It was brilliant.
Yeah, but I've got to say, I thought that was an incredible race. But my favourite race with your commentary on...
Hang on a minute, Neil. You were in that race and right near the front at one point, and you were on Dunlops and your tyres fell apart. Otherwise, you'd have been right at the thick end of that.
Yeah, they never worked around that. That was one of those tracks where, you know what it's like. That
I think you did about 12 laps out of 20 that was right on the pace off the back of them, just right with them.
I remember at points in that race passing Edwards and thinking, like, you know, when it's a bit sketchy and you're holding your breath and your trail breaking in, thinking, God, if I lose the front now, I'm going to clean Edwards out and Bayliss will be champion and Ducati will love me. So I sort of didn't care anyway. You know, I thought, well, if it goes, you know, like...
Well, I'll tell you what I remember. One of my funniest memories of you, we're in a real kind of a... there were always hideous wars, those races at Sugo. Beautiful circuit, right on a hillside, in the middle of the trees in Japan. But what you got at Sugo, the same as what you got in the UK and America, and sometimes Australia, you got a load of local wild boys, and they were wildcats who were just fast. I mean,
on factory bikes as well.
They popped out the woodwork from garage number 56 with a factory bike that's trickier than the thing you're getting paid loads of money to ride, and just striped it. They were fast. So to finish top 10 there for me was like a top 4 anywhere else. Anyway, I witnessed a big old race. I had not a bad day on a Suzuki, on the Harris Suzuki. And you were having not a bad day as well on a Kawasaki, I believe. And it might have been 99. It was anyway.
98.
Aaron Slight was in the chance to win the championship on the Honda. But he just caved with pressure. He caved with pressure, the poor lad, right? And he's a lovely lad, is Aaron. But he did crumble. He did. And anyway, he's making mistakes and just getting to the front of the group and then running wide, and Neil would have him again. You did no wrong moves at all. You had a lovely race. We finished probably 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that. After the race, it was all his own work, these mistakes, and he lost the championship on his own. You know, he couldn't blame anybody else. But he decided that he was going to hate Neil forever for robbing him of a championship that he didn't.
He still does.
I've never seen him so angry. He was so aggressive, wasn't he? Trying to kick you off your bike after the finish.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed all that, actually.
But I didn't realise you saw that. But what he did was, we went across the line. Then, like, I rolled around turn 1, and he comes alongside me, and he just booted me.
Yeah, kicked you. I was about 100 metres behind you and wondering what was going on. Yeah.
So then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing, you idiot? So that's why we ended up putting our bikes down on the track, and then
it was one of those. Like, right, leave that there. Come on, gloves are off.
Yeah. But then what happens is you have that horrible realisation. You both stood there with your helmets on. You then know cameras will be on you. And instantly you go, what are we doing? We look like a right pair of dicks. And then you're shouting at each other.
At one point. I remember you had a chin piece at one point like that. It was a good one.
It was pathetic.
Proper
James,
handbags.
Weirdly, I remember Sugo for a different reason. And I don't know if that was race 2. But that year, or maybe the year before, I can't remember, me and you was having a really good race. Everything's good. I think I passed you, and I thought, brilliant. I've got past Whit. That I'm going to break away now. Little did I know, we got down to basically the straight there, Gav. It's a long straight downhill into like a second gear, sort of right-hand corner.
Big ride,
anyway,
off camber.
I'm hard on the brakes. Everything's good, tipping in, and then I get hit so hard by James. Obviously, I realise it's James because he just, as I look, I'm there, just pushed out straight into the gravel. My race is done. I ended up finishing like out of the points. And I'm like, yeah, cheers, mate. But James was one of those riders you couldn't hate. So it weren't like, I'd come back into the pits and go.
I don't know. Hey, listen. Hard to hate, but worth the effort.
But James is typical James. Straight up to me afterwards. Oh, sorry about that, mate. I have no idea what happened. No idea what happened.
I knew. Do you know what? I knew we were going to hit side here for about 200 metres. As soon as I hit that brake, it's downhill and you can't really stop a bike. And when you're trying to stop a bike for a corner, you are braking as late as you can. There's nothing left. It's not, if you miss your braking point, if you're doing your job, if you're a good rider and you miss your braking point by 10 feet, you're going to run 10 feet wide. That's just how it is. You can't stop any quicker.
Yeah.
And I knew 200 metres before I sort of striked into the side here. I thought, uh-oh. I didn't even know it was. And I thought, oh, it's Neil.
Oh, shit.
Anyway.
Did you boys have fun out on the road together? Did you see each other? What was the atmosphere like in the paddock amongst you boys around that time?
Yeah, we always got on.
Yeah.
And back then it was a little bit more relaxed where everybody had a motorhome, and then at some events you'd travel from one racetrack to another, or a lot of people would stay around Misano and you'd go on like camping Riccione, that sort of stuff. So it was, I don't know, just happy days, weren't it? It was just good fun.
I think so. I mean, I remember we'd travelling, you travel with your motorhome and your missus in sort of groups. So we travel with Peter Goddard quite a bit, or Foggy. Foggy at that point was just going from driving his own motorhome. It was the big C shift at World Superbike, which is probably 5 years after it happened at GPs, where you didn't drive your own motorhome. I always did, basically because I'm such a tight ass, I didn't want to pay anybody. But Foggy just about got somebody to start driving his motorhome and paying him, but Goddard drove his own. There was the lovely fellow who used to drive Scott Russell's, it was his cousin, what were we called?
Yeah, Chris.
Great lad. So we'd spend a little bit of time with whoever we're travelling, really. It was life don't get any better than that, actually, Gab. And I think, I hope a lot of that hasn't been lost, because...
Well, I was going to say, has it changed for the worse, the better in terms of the sport, and now we can enjoy it in...
I think it's changed for the different.
Yeah.
And the kids that are coming through now, I'm sure they're enjoying it just as much.
Yeah.
But it was a great time. Can you imagine we were typically between 20 and 25 or 6. You've got a big Yank motorhome that, I mean, some of us didn't own houses at the time, but we're setting off in a big old motorhome with your missus and a mountain bike on the roof and enough money really to do what you want without going stupid. And it would just, how can it get any better than that? It can't. People pay to go on holiday and do that. And we were, we were dicking around for nothing, really. It was great.
Doing it for a living. I just want to know, as we get into this point of the year now where it looks like racing's coming back, I think it'd be nice if we all sort of, I don't know, if we had a little bit of a look at preview of what what might happen now, because it's been massive. World Superbike obviously had their first round. Alex Lowe's came out on top. Johnny Ray didn't have his best weekends, but looks like he's on it. Scott Redding was amazing. In terms of World Superbike, when it comes back, I think is it first weekend of August in Jerez is the idea, isn't it? The week after.
Basically,
back to back with the GP.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem, the big sort of disappointment is the fact that the racing was just so good in round one. You know, we were looking forward to a sort of stellar season, and the fans were getting excited. And I'll be honest, I mean, it's been slightly lackluster for a lot of reasons. I aren't slighting anybody in this, or you know, it just looked like we might be getting a really competitive World Superbike back. So that was really disappointing. And the only slight disappointment we've got now is because every championship is trying to squeeze as many races as they can into what is a sort of 2 or 3 month period. I know that the World Championship boys have got a bit more scope because they can run on a bit longer. You can't run at flipping Brands Hatch in December. If you go Southern Hemisphere, you probably can for the World Superbike or MotoGP. So, and the problem that we've got is, and everybody's got, there's lots of clashes because everybody's squeezing everything into a smaller sort of period of time. So, but I'm quite an optimist. In fact, I'm what's called a blind optimist. I actually think that the racing, when you sort of condense it a little bit, I don't mind, and I didn't mind when I raced a little bit of pressure, and that pressure of having a shorter championship, not being able to make any mistakes because you've not even got time to fix a broken collarbone, never mind anything else. Now, I don't think it's horrible if you're a rider, but actually, not bad for us.
Do you ride differently then in that situation? Will we see a different kind of race, or will we see anything? You know, people approaching it knowing that an injury and that's your season done.
I don't think so. You can.
I mean, no.
You just go as fast, as hard as you.
I mean, I sort of knew the answer, but people will be wondering that and asking that question.
Yeah, they will. I mean, it's just another aspect, isn't it? Go on.
No, this one always makes me smile. Is you hear so many riders go, "Oh yeah, well, throughout that race, the majority of the time I was saving my tyres, I was doing this and all that lot." I don't think people realise generally at home how hard it is. So, like 99.9% of the time, and I'm sure you'll agree, James, you go absolutely as fast as you bloody can.
Yeah,
and that's racing, isn't it? And see what happens, and hope that's enough for a win, if not a podium, if not a top 5, if not, you know what I mean? And that's
I mean. You get your races where things have clicked, you've chosen the right tyre, you've done your own work, it's a circuit you like or whatever, and it's easier than other times. But actually, for somebody like me, the majority of the time it was just flipping. I can't even remember a lot of races, what happened in the race, because I was just 100% of my concentration was just on the corner in front.
Next corner,
Strangely enough, there's riders who can remember everything, who obviously have a little bit more. I remember Steve Hislop coming to me once. We had a big battle at Donington, and I'd actually beat him. But he said, "Oh, when you came past me there, and you got a bit of a slide, and then caught them back markers." I couldn't remember any of it because Ma was just kind of blinking, blind, flipping. Oh, Ma! I was just scared and full of adrenaline. It's a mixture of things, isn't it? You're full of chemicals that you don't really understand what they're doing a lot of the time. You know.
So, hey, shall we have predictions then? Top 3.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What do we see happening? What do you think is going to happen? Should we go with
top 3s? Let's have top 3s.
Top 3s then for MotoGP, for BSB and World Superbike. Top
MotoGP.
3.
Honestly, you're the men. You two. I haven't. My opinion will be so bad because honestly, I spent that much time. It's like I don't even have time to fully keep up to sort of speed with it. I watch it always when I've got time to watch it when I'm not at either BSB or World Superbike. So any predictions on that will be so far off I can't even tell you.
Go on then.
No, I'm not even gonna.
Mick Doohan.
I'm not even gonna.
Mick Doohan, Alex Cuvier, and Barros.
Oh, Mick Doohan's good. He's good.
He's going places.
To be honest, I'm one of the things I do hope is that Jake Dixon can have a good time with it. I spent a bit of time with Jake, and he's had a hard time. I mean, it was always going to happen. It was never going to be easy for him. But I hope he can make some kind of headway. To be honest, that's I'd like to see him in a class that is so difficult to make any headway. I do feel that on the Triumphs, the class has come back to him a little bit because the Triumphs are a little bit heavier, a little bit more power, a little bit torquier than the Honda engine Moto 2 bikes were. So with a bit of luck, that'll suit him slightly better. World Superbike, it's the beauty of it is there's no real outstanding kind of championship favourite. You're bound to say Jonathan Rea, but would you bet against Top Rack just taking another step? If Scott Redding can click with that, I mean, he's a rider who's travelled the world all his life. Nothing's going to faze him. He's not going to be like he's going to taste a bit of foreign food and his head's going to fall off, like it does with some riders new into World Championship. So it's going to be a really, it's going to be a cracking championship, is that, in my opinion. Also, remember 2 Supersport races per weekend to make up for us losing this kind of Yamaha single mate Blue Crew thing, which was a pity because that was a cracking idea and a cheap way into World Championship racing that World Superbike, the World Superbike paddocks lacked, I think. And I think that would have been well, it is going to be good when it finally kicks off. But 2 Supersport races, so that's going to be good. And BSB, again, when you lose...
James, give us your top 3s, for God's sake. Give us your top 3s.
Right, okay, right.
Give us your top 3s, come on.
Top 3 World Superbike, I'm going to go... Them 3, Jonathan Rea, Redding and Top Rack. But it could very well be anywhere around to that 3. I've got a feeling about Top Rack, honestly. If he can... It just seems at that point where he can take a sort of big step forward with a bit of luck.
Winning, and then boom.
Yeah, and no, a bit of a sort of knowing he can win, and definitely got the tools.
BSB's a tough one to call for me.
Absolutely.
I've looked at it and I'm I wouldn't know where to go. Do you boys know where? I mean, everyone says Josh Brooks.
Tricky.
I think someone there with all that.
He's favourite.
That experience. It has to be the favourite. But then
who's that? Brooks.
Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks will be favourite.
Brooks starts as favourite. A couple of reasons. He knows the championship, knows the circuits. Did a lot of winning last year. He's on the same bike, and in my opinion, it's the best bike.
Yeah.
Putting it simply, I think it's probably the best bike of the championship. I would love to see Christian Eden have a good time of it because I think it's Christian. I love Christian. He's a great lad, good mate of mine. Proper salt of the earth bloke. He's lovely, and nobody works harder out than him. And I just feel he's on the best bike for the best team, arguably, and he's got to do it. There's no excuses now for him. He has to perform. I'd like to see the Mackenzie boys going well, just because Taz had a little bit of... I mean, it was how the hell he managed to even walk in a straight line after what he went through last year. Just beat himself up a lot. Taylor back in Superbike, so that's going to be interesting. It's the beauty of BSB is it could be actually if Josh Brooks has a an hard time of it, short championship, 3 races a weekend doesn't take much of a slip up to miss a few races.
And no showdown, is there? They've got
no. It's a first past the post system this year. Yeah, you couldn't really run a showdown. It would have been a one. And
Tommy Bridewell, someone like Tommy Bridewell, you can't bet against him, can you? You know what I mean? He's
not really. But Tommy's another one of them. It's kind of knife-edge stuff with Tommy. Good season for him last year. Loves the team. They love him. It's just a sort of real synergy about the job. They do enjoy going racing. You go in that garage, everybody knows the stuff, and they want to be there. And I'd love to see Tommy going well. I would.
Yeah.
But Brooks for me. Brooks starts as favourite, I've got to say.
Yeah, starts as favourite. But like you say, anything can happen. You get that first race meeting out of the way, and it's like, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, in fact,
there's always
one of the races of the year last year for me, of all classes and all championships, it was BSB Stock 6, the young kids, and any one of 4. One guy led it, a Kiwi guy led it by about 9 points. He had a nightmare. Bike just didn't perform. He's running around in sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, trying to get up to wherever he can get the points just to win the championship. Then there were another 4 riders could win it, and all 4 of them led it in the last half of the race. And it was just flipping nuts. It was brilliant. So we'll definitely be having more of the same. But yeah, BSB's the most difficult one to call, I think.
Yeah, totally agree.
I won't push you on MotoGP then. Just say Marc Marquez. Safe
Marc Marquez.
There we are.
Hey, Neil, do you ever get to ride them things now? What?
No. The last one I rode was when I got a chance to ride Ian Oney's bike. What was that? 4 years ago, Gav? 3 years ago. Gav was my crew chief.
Yep.
It wasn't good.
Right.
I'm blaming Gav for the setting was way out.
I took about 3 seconds off your lap time with some of them settings.
Hey, I tell you what, you can't believe, James. The standout thing, but wasn't the seamless gearbox because I'd not experienced one of them before. It was nice. The standout thing was when you came out of the corner and you went like that. How with those massive wings on, the bike you felt like you were going forward. You know, like we were constantly on the rear brake or
stopping and
wheeling.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was bizarre. So like the last corner at Misano, you'd come out onto the start and finish straight. Normally you'd be climbing all over it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to because it just wanted to go forward, but you could feel the back of the seat pushing your backside. I'm like, oh my God, what a nice, imagine having this back in our day.
Because the limiting factor of acceleration on any bike, especially from the lower speed, first, second, third gear upwards, is the fact that the centre of gravity of a bike has to be quite high compared to anything, compared to a race car. So the thing just wants to wheel. So that's what's limiting your acceleration. So you don't get any of that. It just goes forward.
No.
It was obviously
what a nice feeling.
Some of the electronic settings I shoved in there as well to make sure that happened. You know, we got that.
Absolute tosser.
Oh, yeah, good.
I got the geometry just right.
Is it, I've got a quick fire round for you, James. Well, it's not quick fire. There's some questions where it's not like one word answers.
It's not that word association, is it?
No. I hate all that bullshit.
I get into trouble with them quite a lot.
So it's the it's a slow fire round, is it, Neil?
It's a slow fire round. I call them my big questions. Right, James. First of all, right, we're going for a big night out.
Yeah.
What's your drink of choice?
Drink of choice. I would say I'm going with nice light beer, so I'd go for either Corona, I reckon. And I got a taste for it.
Lightweight.
Yeah, exactly.
So what?
How you can talk?
We got a taste for it when the whole paddock was awash with the stuff when they used to sponsor the Supersport Championship. My motorhome, honestly, I don't know what the maximum carrying capacity was of them luggage lockers underneath, but I was exceeding it most meetings.
Oh my God, I love it. I thought you'd have been a bitter drinker coming,
No, I don't mind a bit of bitter, but that's only because my dad sort of drummed it into me that that's what I had to drink to be a man.
By law in Yorkshire.
By law, yeah. All right. Next question. Over the years, who's been your best teammate? You've had a few.
I've gone with them all. I've had some cracking teammates. Best one to get on with probably Neil McKenzie, I think.
Yeah.
I think Neil, we got on really well, both on track, and it probably helped him get on with me that he beat me in the championship just. But we got on really well, and his missus has got on as well. So. Carl was only ever teammates with. Carl was a good friend of mine going through the whole racing thing, but we were never really teammates. And the year we were, Carl was that sort of focused on what we were doing. At a meeting, we'd spent less time together than we did away from the meeting.
Yeah. If someone give you 50 grand cash today, what's the first thing you'd want to buy? What would you go for?
Are you actually doing that, Neil? Have you got? You getting out your bank
it's part of the budget. We've got that. We have that in the budget.
The new gas it out budget.
Yeah. Would you put it under the bed with the rest of your money, James, and just
No, I already can't sleep. I'm trying to get rid of the old 20s before they go out of circulation. No, I'd go and buy a really nice RG500, maybe Mark 3, Mark 4.
Yeah, I knew you'd buy an old bike.
Yeah.
You've got your own track day company. You've been doing it for years, a bit on and off. I've been doing some teaching, as you know, over the years with focused events. I've seen some bizarre stuff, but you've been doing it for 20 years. what's the craziest track day thing you've ever seen? And you must have seen some shit.
Oh, I mean, now, the way we're running now is we only put 20 people out on track and they're easy to manage. Everybody has a safe day. For me, the scary bit about track days is the fact that the circuits are that expensive to hire. You must stack them and rack them. And we try to get away from that because we run at circuits we can afford to put less than 20 on track. But we're at Donington. I was running a company called Speed Freak with a guy called Paul Schultz-Smith, who's no longer with us. And we had a guy turn up late. Everybody else had the briefing and we're on track for their first session. He's giddy. You know, you can tell the guy's giddy.
You can tell.
He can hardly stand still and he's got his bike's ready. And I said, right, me and you will just go in this garage here, get a bit quiet. I'll do your own briefing, no problem. Ran him through everything. And by the end of the briefing, he was like just going to explode. Jumped on his bike, wheeling down pit lane, shot out onto track, grabbed a load of front brake and went down the
But like you said, you can just see it in certain people, can't you? You're just like, oh my God, this guy ain't going to manage session one. You can just tell them they're all a bit giddy. I've had it.
I'll tell you what I have had. Conversely, I mean, most people are nervous of being on track the first 2 times they go on track. But I've had kids who are quite natural, and not just kids, older blokes. We've got a bloke on a ZXR6 older bike. He'll be in his 50s, little skinny fella at Anglesey. And I was following him. And you know when somebody's leaning over too much? The bike, it's not hanging off. The bike is literally, everything's on the floor. And he's right on this much of the tyre that any 1 more degree, the thing's gone. And I had to try and slow him down. It's weird. But to go quicker and ride more aggressively, safely, I had to stop him leaning the bloody thing over. You know, it's flipping. And I'm looking at it going, that's fucking just had no fear.
And I've had that where you're behind him and you think, I've got to get in front of this guy because he's going down. But then as you get close to him, you think he's going to go down in front of you because he's got the same angle. So you've got this horrible dilemma of
was it me?
To get past
What's that mean? Was it me?
To go. That's what I was saying. I got past you. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm past James, you know. But you're having a dinner party.
Yeah.
What 3 riders would you? It's the last question, by the way. What 3 riders would you invite?
Dead or alive?
Dead, either.
One of them would be Mike Aylwood because it was a bit of an hero of mine and my dad's, and he got killed before I had a chance to meet him. And I think I'll put myself in a position later that I probably would have been able to meet him at an industry do. Or so Mike Aylwood would be one. The other one would be Kevin Schwantz, just because he's flipping nuts. He's completely mad. Don't care what he says about anybody, and it'll be funny. Although I'm not sure he'll want to get on with him so well. And can I have Winston Churchill? I don't know whether he rode a bike or not, but
I'm sure he did at some point. Yeah,
I'm sure he did.
Shoot all that in.
Bloody hell, that'd be. Can I just watch? Can we record him?
We heard about your serving.
I can imagine him with the tea towel over the arm.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Oh, mega.
Right, well, we better let you go, Jim. Thank you so much, James, for that. We really do appreciate it for you joining us.
Good luck with getting going with MotoGP, and hope it all works out. I guess it will. You've got important people planning it all for you, haven't you?
Well,
yeah, thank God.
Well,
thank God.
Have we? Have you? And same to you guys as well with everything that you're up to. And have you got any track days before? Have you been able to? We
started on Wednesday. We fired up at Croft this next Wednesday. So we've got a lot of things. You can't use garages. You've got we're using the circuits that have a fair paddock area, so everybody can get their own little bit of stuff. It'll work. Individual briefings and briefings by email and all that.
In this era, I saw you actually something you retweeted just before we go, where we I think we all agree that why aren't motorcycles being promoted as the safest form of transport in terms of riding solo, riding in full protective gear, and so on and so forth.
Hey, listen, you don't get any more distance, and you going out on your bike on your own and flipping riding some nice roads. You don't get any more distance than that. Or pleasurable. It's just. It shouldn't, that should have always been allowed or encouraged even. But,
I've always thought in traffic as well. It's one of those things for traffic. But anyway, by the by, I know it's something you subscribe to. James, thank you so much, for joining us, and all the best for the season starting and your track days and everything. We do appreciate it massively.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Take care, dude.
See you later.
See you, mate. That's him.
Spot on. That's Jamie
Love
Whitham, who has joined us. Some great stories, as always, Neil. I love it. And that, as you said, before we even spoke to him, the tip of the iceberg, we could have then had 10 hours.
God.
10 hours. We didn't delve into a lot of times. I was like, do you know what? We haven't got time.
I feel exactly the same. You almost feel like you've scratched the surface, with James, because I've had so many meals out with him, and you sit back, neck a few pints, and just let him go. And honestly, the stories he's got. He's 1 in a million, isn't he?
Yeah, and a salt of the earth character.
1 in a million.
Salt of the earth character in so many ways.
Gav, and he could ride a bike.
Yeah, but that's the other thing you mustn't forget. And he rode everything. And rode it well.
Very, very, very fast. Brave, way too brave. Too brave, but you can tell, just, you know what I mean? You can, just his personality, he were having a go. If he were behind you on the last lap and it said +0, wait, you thought, oh, fuck. Because he's coming through. You're not going to cross the line without him having had a go. Even if it's not a successful attempt, he'd have a go. Yeah. So, yeah, me and him collided a few times on the track. But like I said, I've never fallen out with James, ever. You couldn't. How could you fall out with him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, no, I love the man. Love him.
Great to hear from him. What do you think about his predictions? I mean...
I agree, really. Not with the World Superbike one. I think, obviously, I manage Alex Lowe's. So Alex will finish top 3 in the world. I'm convinced of it. So I don't think he'll beat Johnny Ray in the championship, even though Alex is leading the championship. My money would still be on Jonathan. But the way I see it is, for Alex, it's a learning year. And if he can learn off Jonathan, then 2021 hopefully will fight for the title.
And in terms of the Ducati and the Yamaha, do you see, as he said, Scott Redding and Toprak being the lead riders in their teams?
But also, then you can't count out Van der Mark, because I'm a massive fan of Michael. He rides so well. He was Alex's teammate, at Yamaha, so I saw him at close quarters, and he can ride in all conditions, doesn't make many mistakes. So,
and is there then a chance? I was going to say, sorry, I'm just trying to speed it along with. Is there a chance that Honda could have something now with the time we've had off? Could they have found something to help? Because they were behind clearly, but they've had a bit of time to maybe be working on a few things behind the scenes. So you got your Bautistas and Leon.
And Leon, you know what? That will have worked for Honda. It's really worked in their favour. Yeah, you're so right. They've gained almost a year, so they will have things will have been developing and put on the back burner, thinking we'll have to do this next year. They've had a chance to have a little play with.
You're not racing in the meantime, where you can't bring that in, because we're here. We're going to a next race. We're doing all that. No, you're all there in Japan, whatever, getting on stuff. So that'd be interesting to see how they come back.
I think even though it's a short season, it's going to be a very short season for the Superbike boys. It'll be the best season we've had in a long time.
But I think
different winners, exactly close championship.
That Jamie said, wasn't it? That
yeah.
In terms of being thick and fast, it was set up so nicely at the start of the year. It could make it even better. I don't know. It could be the making of it. Let's hope so. Fingers crossed for it, anyway.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
We will talk further about MotoGP as things go along. But a quick word just on a couple of things that have happened since our last podcast, Neil. Obviously, we talked to Danilo, and he said he looked like he's on his way up. There's a lot of talk that he's going to go to KTM, which I'm fascinated by. But that will be facilitated. Jack Miller's already signed there, which has happened since. And it sounds like Pol Espargaro going to Honda. It's not been confirmed. I'm not even sure it's going to get confirmed until a bit further along. For me, it's blown my mind a little bit. Completely left field. What do you make of it?
Well, a bit of inside information I got was that was pushed by Repsol. Obviously, Repsol's Honda's sponsor. They pay big money, tens of millions to sponsor the team every year. And they said, we want a guaranteed strong number 2 rider. We know we've got Mark, obviously, on a long term, but we can't guarantee Alex Marquez is going to be a strong number 2. We can't guarantee he's going to be inside the top 10. We need, that's what we're paying for, is to have a strong number 2. So we need a Spanish rider. They've looked down the list, and you'd have to go, well, on paper, Paul would fit that. You know, obviously Spanish experience.
A world champion. A world champion in Moto2.
Exactly, can ride a motorcycle, can't he? And the way he rides is similar-ish to Mark. Riding style's very similar, very loose. So as left field as it is, because when it all came out, we all were like, what? Actually, when you break it down, it does make sense.
But
is it fair?
What does it do to the dynamics then of the Marquez brothers?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, Mark will be pissed off, won't it?
Just signed for 4 years. And then...
Yeah, you signed longest ever contract, you know, and then really he'll think you've really disrespected my brother there. You've not given him chance to show what he can do. But then I'm sure Honda are going to move him to somewhere, potentially Cal's ride at LCR, you know, it's talked about. So where does that leave Cal? Well, then Cal, with all his experience, surely someone like
KTM or
Aprilia, you know, I know KTM we're talking to him, but Aprilia, you'd jump at him, wouldn't you? Like Cal Crutchlow or Andrea Iannone, like it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You know, someone who's got the experience of Cal without the fickle side and, you know, very good at developing. Is a great development rider.
Clearly has with the Honda, hasn't he? And done a lot of it.
That's been one of his roles.
So, are you surprised that all these deals are being done when there's been no racing?
Well, it was always going to happen, I think. The longer it went, we're going to get to a point where I'm surprised about the Pole move. No one saw that coming, right? But the other deals have to be sorted, don't they, really? It's just the way that the paddock works.
Once it became clear the racing was going to come back, surely you want to see how someone's performing. If Alex Marquez now starts getting top 10s...
And, well, imagine if he gets top 5s. Imagine if it really clicks. Two-time world champion Alex Marquez is nobody's fool.
And the bike, if the bike is working...
Yeah,
you know, which it wasn't necessarily at the beginning of testing, but you know, I don't know. It's just going to be fascinating. It is fascinating, isn't it? Really,
it'll motivate him, won't it?
Yeah, fascinating. It's all
fascinating. Yeah,
we'll be talking about it more, I'm sure, when tests are undergoing as we speak now. We are about a month away, is it? Yeah, about 4 weeks away, pretty much, from the start of the championship. I'm giddy. I'm a little bit excited about it.
Weirdo.
Come
the fact
on.
that you sat, weirdo though, sat there with bloody headphones on, the mic, black t-shirt, but completely naked on your behalf. That's not normal.
In fact, let me show.
Right.
It's where you want it to all break up the screen. Right. Great to speak to you again. Great to speak to Whit. We will be back very soon indeed. Thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed it, please like, please subscribe. Please send it to your mates and all those kinds of things, and leave a review as well. It all helps us, and hopefully we can make these better. We really do appreciate all the lovely comments we've had, and people have missed us. Hopefully we've sated your what would it be called, your desires. No, that's not quite the right thing, is it? We've given you a fix again.
Yeah, just go, Gav, just go.
I'm gonna go.
Listen
Neil.
Gav.
What?
I love you, man.
That's creepy when I can see you. See you later. Bye.
See ya. Ciao, ciao. Yeah, but you can do what you can come in. I don't mind. That's funny. You know, like the other day, Vic got a parcel. I didn't know she was on a really serious works call. I didn't know. She's on so many calls. So basically, I went, I'll get the door. And the guy went, for Victoria. So Vic looked at me and I went, it's for you. It's from Ann Summers. I just thought it'd be funny. It was not. But it went down like the worst.
That is a full turd baguette, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Oh, dear.
We were not friends, she just said. Can you hear it?
I can hear, I can hear. I did hear her that time. Yeah, because I wasn't talking, basically. So.
Cool.
Yeah, mine.